title fight between McLaren's Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri just refuses to get nasty, even when the team finds themselves embroiled in controversy of their own making. The Italian Grand Prix throughout the sort of situation in many, if not most cases, in F1 would get expected to generate acrimony. For most of the race, Norris and Piastri ran second and third behind Red Bull's Max Verstappen, the Dutchman too fast for Norris and Norris too fast for Piastri, but in throwing the strategy dice by running their cars as long as possible for a pit stop and then deciding to stop them in the wrong order, McLaren generated a problem for themselves. Piastri was stopped first, when normally in that situation it would be Norris. The Briton said it was all fine as long as it did not lead to Piastri ending up ahead of them. The team reassured it wouldn't, but it did. In theory, Norris had a gap of more than big enough to stop and re-emerge in front, but he had a problem at his pit stop and came up behind his teammate. The team asked Piastri to let him back past. The Australian said he didn't understand but agreed anyway, and they finished in the correct order, the latter's championship lead down to 3 points to 31. This very much did not go as would have been expected in the previous intra-team title fights. The typical sort of response to this situation would be for a driver in Piastri's position to refuse to let his teammate back past, or take a lot longer to do it while complaining a lot or criticise the team afterwards. It's clear, however, the winner of the race would have responded if he was in this situation, laughing at it, but then McLaren are not running their team in the normal way. Andrea Stella said McLaren's racing principles are everything. At the heart of them is fairness. Stella saw a very simple solution. Norris deserves second place. They chose to stop Piastri first against the normal convention. The lead driver gets priority of strategy. They had their reasons, as they did with the express intention not to change the order. The order changed because of a team problem, so neither driver had any influence, so only fair that the positions were reverted in Stella's opinion. Piastri disagreed during the race. We said that this was part of racing. He said, so I don't really get what changed, but I'll do it. Once out of the car, however, the adrenaline began to run down, and he said he agreed with the decision, saying it's something they'll discuss, but he felt it was a fair request. Obviously, Norris saying he would do it, and of course we saw a similar situation last year at Hungary to give Piastri his first F1 win. McLaren, that is probably the main example of that happening before. And yeah, at the time it did take Piastri a lot longer. There was a threat from Lewis Hamilton, so the situation was not dissimilar. Stella said the decision to Piastri was due to the threat of Charles Leclerc, who pitted several times and was closing on fresh tyres, but Leclerc was 28.5 seconds behind Piastri, closing around half a second of that. The total pit lot time was 25 seconds, so McLaren had at least another 3 or 4 laps and probably more before they really had to worry about him. In other words, they didn't really need a decision. They could have simply stopped Norris first and then it would have been a problem. Of course, in that situation, had Piastri stopped second and had the same problem with wheel gun, he could have dropped behind Leclerc, but McLaren didn't know that at the time, so the decision is not something that really makes sense. Stella said this is something I will review with the strategy team. They elaborated that there was the right sequencing because there could have been some threat for Oscar. We will review the numbers and check whether that was necessary or not. There is, though, one of the logical reasons for the order of pit stops, even if Stella did not say it. Had McLaren stopped Norris first and then there had been a safety car during a lap before Piastri stopped, then that would have put Piastri ahead. Perhaps that's really something McLaren were trying to avoid. What's remarkable about all of this is how McLaren are dealing with the championship battle. It speaks to their particular challenges, but also how Stella managed to get the whole McLaren team to buy into the culture that saw them come from backmarkers to really world champions within 2 years. Racing drivers are in a unique position in competitive atmospheres, but also dependent on their teams. Usually in F1, these two powerful opposing forces create tension. Look at what happened, for example, with Senna and Prost, Hamilton and Rosberg. Stella's achievements and McLaren are multiple faceted, but the way he's treated his driver is pretty remarkable. We don't want the chance of success just for this year. We want it to continue for many years, said Piastri, and that's about protecting the cultures. Afterwards, Stella was asked whether he would accept that sort of thing stops as it came to a climax. I consider it relatively potentially not the most elegant move, but sometimes racing doesn't necessarily require elegance as long as you stick to the principles. So an intriguing answer, and yeah, Norris still has it also in the championship, so he'll hope for that little bit of fight. But at the moment, with Piastri's kind of consistency over results, it's going to take something pretty special for Norris to turn it around from this position without bad luck for Piastri. So yeah, it's going to be very intriguing to see how this kind of escalates as Norris tries to fight back in the title battle. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily F1 news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.